Hi, it's Carol Doherty. Let's talk bad workplace habits and how to break them. Particularly if you're a woman in STEM, I want to talk to you. There are 3 that I see that really hurt women in STEM and hold back our careers. And I've seen it over and over and over again on the course of my career. So let's talk about them. The first one is complaining. Now, I know we all have things we want to complain about and reasons, legitimate reasons to complain. However, when we find ourselves in that negativity trap, all it does is hurt us, our reputation, and we lose respect. So that's not what we want to do. And if you're not sure what I mean, there was one lady that I worked with. She was brilliant. She knew her stuff so well. But if you called her and asked her, hey, how's it going? She would give you a list of about 20 things that were going wrong. And if you said, okay, so tell me something good, she would be like, yeah, there's nothing. And she would call and say, hey, I need help. I've got to do a report. What have we accomplished? All I've seen is all the stuff we didn't get done. What have we actually done? And I'd have to help her think through all of the things that were done, because she was so focused on what wasn't working, what was negative, that she couldn't see the positive. And she got to where people didn't want to talk to her. If you needed support, encouragement, help, you needed to tell you it's going to be okay, you did not call her. She was not going to be the person to help you with that. That's what I mean by complaining. Those people who are the negative Nancys, the Debbie Downers, that you want to avoid because they're so negative. Well, are you in the habit of complaining all the time? I was a supply-based manager for sheet metal in the early 2000s when there was a sheet metal shortage. And there were tariffs and surcharges for trucking and things like that. And every month I had to compile all this data to submit on all those surcharges. And every month I complained. I whined about it. I wasn't even complaining. I was whining, let's be honest. And one month I started doing it, and I was whining, and the guy sitting next to me said, yeah, I know, it's that time again. And I kind of went, oh, yeah, I am just complaining. And I hadn't, okay, yes, I hated it. It did not change my attitude towards the task. I hated that task. But I was verbalizing it. And it was impacting all the people around me. Yikes. And they hated when that at the end of the month came up because they knew Carol was going to spend the next 2 days complaining about doing this report. Well, that wasn't who I wanted to be. That's not how I wanted to be known or to be seen. So really, why was I doing that? That's what I mean. Are you complaining? And it becomes a habit. The second one is deflecting or deferring, softening your words. So what I mean by this, how many times have you gone to somebody's office to ask them a question? You knock on the door. Hey, I just have a quick question. Do you have a moment? Would this be okay? Or you say, well, I think we maybe should do this. Or I just wanted to see what your status was on the project. Can you give me an update? How often do you say things like that? Or type them in an email? You're deferring to somebody else. You're deflecting. If you're using the word just, ban it from your vocabulary right now. Just commit to it. Because it's softening. Well, I just wanted to see. I just wanted to check. I read this years ago and I decided, okay, I'm going to start getting rid of the word just. It was hard at first. I didn't realize how often I was saying, I just wanted to see where you were. Adding in just makes you sound more hesitant. It makes it sound like you're not as confident. If you just say what you want to say, you'll be more confident. So that's the second habit, is where we defer, we soften. And then the third habit, apologizing. How many times have you found yourself saying, oh, I'm sorry, I'll get it to you soon, or you're running late because of traffic. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm running late. Traffic is horrible. I lived in the Chicago area. If I had to go to the downtown office, I could never quite predict, was it going to take me 50 minutes or 2.5 hours? And I hit everything in between that. I did it in 50 minutes, and there were times it took 2.5 hours. I could never quite be sure. And there was a couple of times when I wasn't late. I wasn't there as early as I should have been, but I wasn't going to apologize for that. It was just, hey, traffic was awful. There was an accident. It was backed up. Give me a minute and we'll be ready to go. I'm not apologizing for traffic delay that I didn't cause. Why? Let's stop apologizing for that. And a great one, if you're late because of traffic. So instead of saying, oh, sorry, I'm late, say, thanks for waiting. There's a whole bunch. You can look up alternatives to say apologizing. If you find yourself doing that, there are things to do. So those are the 3 that I think hurt women in STEM more than anything else. That idea of complaining, deferring or deflecting, and apologizing for things that aren't our problem. So how do you break these habits? Because that's a big key. Okay, we know what they are. Now let's deal with them. First, listen to the words that you say, or read your emails close. Pay attention to the words you're using. Are you being negative too often? Like I said, when I was doing that report, I was complaining constantly. I didn't realize it until Lee said something. So pay attention to the words you're using. Are you somebody who can only find the negative and you can't ever find the positive? And I had jobs where my job was to find quality problems and look for process improvement. So you tend to be focused on what's not working, but that didn't mean I had to be a negative person, and I wasn't most of the time. And that gave me better credibility because I wasn't seen as somebody who nitpicked everything, because I wasn't negative most of the time. So if I came and said, hey, we have a problem with, people listened because I didn't constantly complain. But when I did, pay attention to the impact around you. So are you negative? And watch the people around you. Are they avoiding you? So pay attention to the words you're using, what you're saying. Another thing, ask yourself, are you asking permission to act? My first job out of college, 23, 24 years old, the only female engineer. I was half the age of most of the people that I worked with. A bunch of them had kids older than me. And what's interesting is I was not confident in what I was doing. So I would go to the production supervisor with instructions that I had to give him. Okay, here's the procedure. Here's the batch formula. Here's, whatever. And I would be like asking, well, if you have a moment, I have something I need to go over with you. I was asking him permission to give him the information that it was my job to give him. What? Why? But I was deflecting. I was deferring. I was being too nice. And I was asking them if it was okay to ask them for information I needed to do my job. No, that's not how this works. Work to get past that. And then, are you softening your words? Are you, hey, can I bother you for a minute? No, I've said that. Hey, I got a question. Can I bother you for a minute? I had a big team. And the women would often come to me and knock my door. Hey, I know you're really busy. I hate to bother you, but I have a question. I need some help. The guys would walk up. Hey, Carol, I've got a question. Is now a good time? What sounds more confident? And I'm talking confidence. So the guys would walk up and say, hey, I have a question. Is now a good time? They're confident in their right to ask me a question. The women would walk up and say, oh, I know you're busy. Sorry to bother you, but I have a question. They don't sound as confident. It could be perceived as being nicer, I wasn't paying them to be nice. I was paying them to get stuff done. And if they have a roadblock and they need my help, they need to be able to say, Carol, I need help. Is now a good time? Pay attention to what you're saying. And then the next part of this is stop, pause before you speak, before you type that email, before you hit send on that email. Pause. And if you're going to ask somebody a question, before you go up to them, before you hit their door or show up at their desk, think through, what are you going to say? Hey, Bob, I have a question. Is now a good time? Versus, hey, Bob, I just need a minute of your time. Would it be okay? Is now, whatever you're doing, stop softening it. Pay attention to using the word just. And pay attention if you're apologizing for things that aren't your fault. Look at the words you're using when you're typing emails. Are you softening your approach to be more agreeable? It's not our job to be nice to make other people comfortable. We're there to get results. We're there to get our job done. So just state what you need. You don't need to be a bully. You don't need to be mean. But you can state what you need. So pause and think through what you're going to do. Type the email, save it, wait a little bit, and come back and reread it. Are you softening your words, your language? And then the third part of that is, and about saying what you need, is learn assertive communication. Assertive communication isn't mean. It's not being bossy. It's not being aggressive. It's not a bully. You might hear all of those things. But assertiveness is really about creating a two-way conversation. I have my ideas. You have your ideas. Let's get them out on the table and talk about them. Learn to be assertive. Assertive leaders are seen as confident, competent, and capable. I want that for you. So learn to be assertive. Break the habit of being nice. Deferring and apologizing, you're trying to be nice. Let's stop being nice. Let's be kind, be professional, be respectful, and get things done. Learn to be assertive. So again, the three habits I want you to break is complaining, deferring, and apologizing. Instead, listen to your words. Pay attention to the words you use. Pause before you speak. Pause before you hit send. And learn to be assertive. You can be respected as somebody who is thoughtful, respectful, and can get the job done. You will be seen as confident, competent, and capable. Your reputation will grow if you break those three habits.